Welcome to the FMCG Guys podcast, live from the Retail Media Summit Canada in Toronto. I'm your host, Daniel Torres, and I'm joined by Claire Wyatt. Hi, Claire. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Daniel?
Very good, very good.
Excellent.
So Claire is the VP Business Strategy and Marketing Science at Albertsons Media Collective, which is the media side of the US retailer Albertsons.
Yep.
Before we start, I have to say Claire is a two-time CPG Guys Family podcast appearance.
I know.
So
this is so exciting for me.
when did you speak with the CPG guys?
I think oh man, I'm going to get it wrong. I want to say it's 2022, but now I'm second guessing myself.
Maybe it's 2021, maybe 2023.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? Time is a construct.
Yeah. Well,
Blur.
we'll add it in the show notes anyhow.
Perfect.
So if anyone wants to hear the past version of yourself, they can. So before we start, maybe you can tell us a bit about your role at the Albertsons Media Collective, and it would also be great if you could tell us a bit about the wider Albertsons retail proposition.
Absolutely. So my role at Albertsons, I think a lot of the way that I describe it to people is I basically got to take my two favorite things and create a job out of it, which I feel very, very lucky and very grateful for. So the first part of my role is the business strategy role. So really focused on where are we now, and then where are we going in the future? And then how do we adjust those levers in the business to really drive and grow the business? The second piece of my job is the marketing science piece, which is focused on our audience insights, analytics, and then our measurement methodologies. So really getting into the nuts and bolts of what the value proposition of retail media is. And then to your question on Albertsons, so Albertsons is one of the top grocery stores in the United States. We have a little over 2,200 stores.
Wow.
We have on average, I think it's about 35-ish million visitors to our stores every week. So fairly large scale.
And there are banners as well.
Yes. Yep. So we have 22 different banners. So it's not just Albertsons. We own Safeway, Jewel Osco, United. There's a bunch of others.
Excellent. Mm-hmm. And where is Albertsons in this retail media journey?
So we are, I would say we're in our sort of teenage years of our retail media journey. We have a great team. My peer group is amazing. A lot of us, this is our second go round on a retail media network. So many of us are former, we used to work at a company called Target and started their retail media network, Roundel. So it is my boss, Christy Argelon, who is our president. Evan Havorka, who is our VP of Products and Innovation, also came from Roundel. Harvey Ma, who is our VP of Client Success, also came from Roundel, as did I. So we have a group who basically built a retail media network, had the opportunity to build a retail media network again. We are just hitting our 2-year mark, I think maybe in like a month, which is wild. But because we have the experience of doing it before, we've been able to aggressively ramp up to get to a place where we are more mature on our journey, I think, than our age would suggest.
Because you'd made the mistake somewhere else.
Yes,
so you
totally.
knew the right steps to take, at least until now.
Exactly. I think so. That's been really the fun piece. Is the first year was really, we knew everything that we needed to do because the retail media playbook is pretty well laid out. We are just getting to the point where the future is really, we've done everything that exists. And so now we get to think very broadly about what happens.
So now it's time to make mistakes again.
Exactly. Yeah, which is my personal favorite part.
Well, it's great to make mistakes if you have a culture that allows it to. And probably the part of the retail media, the fact that a lot of it is online and there's investments is smaller. Right. Every investment is a bit smaller, allows you more to do this trial and error.
Yep.
What is your focus for this year? What can you share of the focus for this year?
So I can share a little bit of it. Our main focus is, I don't know if you know, it's the worst kept secret. Just kidding, it's not a secret at all. But the third-party cookie that's going away, that is our number one focus because it impacts our business in really two ways. I think the first way that it impacts our business is positively in terms of the fact that we have very high fidelity first party data that we are able to activate in a very privacy safe way. That is a huge value proposition for retail media networks. That is like one of the main value propositions. So that is our push to kind of ride what will hopefully be an increased tailwind of shift of investment, even more, I think, than we've seen in the past to retail media. The second focus is really on, because the third-party cookie is going away, measurement is going to be significantly more difficult. So how do we continue to close the loop on measurement? And how do we continue to validate the performance of campaigns?
Interesting.
So yes.
Yeah. So cookieless future, and also going towards a certain standardization, no?
Yep.
What about like retail media? When we thought about it before, it was very like performance driven, like basically see a banner online and buy the product.
Yep.
Now I think we're going towards a more full funnel proposition where brands can build a story on through retail media, through the retailers media. What's your point of view on that?
So I personally am super excited, and I think that ties to the depreciation of the third-party cookie, is because, so I'll take us as an example. We have a great partnership with Pinterest. We've expanded into CTV-based offerings. I think both social channels and CTV channels are considered more traditionally awareness-based channels. But that only benefits us as a retail media network. But the thing that we have to do, and what we have to educate our CPG partners on, is that using a ROAS metric to measure the performance of those channels is not necessarily going to be the best choice. So that's where we're talking a lot about, layering on kind of this ROAS or incremental ROAS story with metrics like new to brand, as an example. So instead of just awareness as, reach, like, are we actually driving new customers if we're focused on upper funnel?
And I don't know if you remember a year ago, we had this explosion of the word AI.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, when ChatGPT released, it became like top of the agenda of everyone.
Yep.
What are your thoughts of AI as a tool for retail media?
Yeah. So one of the really exciting things that we have done as a business, led by one of my peers, Michelle Weiskettel, has partnered with this company called Capgemini. So yes. So we're really excited about that partnership, and it's huge kudos to Michelle and sort of the way that she was thinking about our media and ad optimization business. And really, instead of sort of building for today, how do we build for the future? So one of the things that we're very, very excited about is that partnership. They are very much utilizing AI in order to make that campaign planning, campaign buying, campaign optimization process significantly more efficient through the use of AI. I think as we think about the future and use cases for AI, creative is a very obvious one. And then as well as audiences for campaigns. So what I think will be really interesting, which people forget about, is how clean your data has to be in order for an AI model to sit on top of it. I think and I'm in a lot of conversations where AI is seen as sort of this magic bullet, this thing that's going to like either save humanity or destroy humanity. And I think with a lot of things, with a lot of tech, especially tech that relies on data, we forget the importance of data cleanliness and data fidelity. And so you will see, this is maybe the answer to your question that you didn't necessarily ask for, but you will see the people who are able to use AI capabilities the best are the people who have their data house the most in order.
Yeah, because if not, you could, like, in terms of understanding your consumer, you could be targeting somebody that's completely
totally
irrelevant.
Wrong. Exactly.
Because you have the wrong data.
Exactly.
Yeah. Another hot topic, in-store.
Yes.
What are you doing around that?
So in-store is very, very trendy right now. One of the things that I think is so interesting is that especially in 2023, in the United States, I know Europe is way ahead of us in terms of in-store. In the United States, it's like we all sort of woke up in the winter and we're like, oh my God, we have stores. We should probably use them to market. And so I think that's something that we are pushing into really aggressively. And are looking to some of our counterparts in Europe. I think Tesco is a great example. I think Carrefour is a great example of both companies who are really like we are looking at and saying they seem to have it the most figured out. I know Tesco supported a lot by the work of Dunnhumby, and so that is kind of our guidepost in terms of, okay, they seem to have done it well. How do we take those learnings and bring it to the United States?
Interesting. And in terms of, like, obviously there's a growth in retail media investment, but what do you think are the key aspects driving retail media investment and also stopping retail media investment or resisting to it?
Exactly.
If you like.
So I think for driving retail media investment, and I hate to continue to harp on it, but it is that first party data, and it is that the cookie going away. And what is taking away and sort of what it's adding is what metrics and what data we are able to provide our CPG clients. I had a conversation with a CPG the other day, and they said that they determine their, not maybe their bigger investment across retailers, but some of the smaller retail media networks they work with, they shift their investment based on who is able to provide them the best measurement. And so as we look at the space, the more transparency we have in measurement, the more we are able to provide data to our clients in a really privacy safe way, the more investment that we will get. But also the inverse of that is if we are closed off with our data, if it's not transparent, if it's very convoluted, if it's unclear how we're getting the metrics that we're getting, that's when we're going to see investment kind of leaking out of the space.
That's interesting. That data has appeared in a couple or three parts of the conversation. No, it's like the kind of backbone to all this progressing in some way.
Exactly.
So the Path to Purchase Institute surveyed several CPGs about the challenges working with retail media networks like you guys.
Exactly, yeah.
And among them, it was like minimum spend requirements, lack of data, data sharing, closed loop reporting, or the lack of ability to prove ROI, a bit along the lines of what we were saying. What type of advice do you give like your CPG partners?
So one of the things I'm really grateful for Albertsons, which I would recommend any other retail media network do as well, is we have a client council. So we have a group of CPGs that we meet with really regularly, and they give us pretty direct feedback on the offering that we're providing. And it is one of the most valuable ways that we grow and guide our business. And so what I would say for CPGs is hopefully the retail media network that you're working with gives you some sort of forum to provide that feedback. If not, I think sometimes what CPGs forget is that they have the budgets and they have the spending power, so they should leverage that as a way to drive the conversation and a way to push the retail media network.
Yeah, because ultimately the money is theirs, no? So they can influence.
Yeah.
And obviously Albertsons, well, not obviously, but Albertsons is a US retailer.
Yes.
What brings you to this event? What key learnings do you take from it?
So it's been really interesting. So I think what is a great opportunity in the Canadian market is you have a lot of different retailers and an opportunity to sort of build everything tangentially. So a lot of the retail media networks are pretty new on their journey, but like we were talking about in the US we're just sort of waking up and realizing that in-store exists. It would be so fun to build out on-site, off-platform, and in-store all together in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
So I think
they don't have to do the U-turn that you guys are doing.
Exactly. So I think I think it's a really exciting time, especially for the Canadian retail media market, because they have so much. Similar to they don't have to make the mistakes because they can kind of look around the world and say, okay, this is actually how we do it, and how
they can get the best of both worlds if they want to.
Yeah.
Thanks, Claire, for joining me.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This was a pleasure.
Excellent.